The curious commander lands on Earth. Commander Rathul stood at the window of his ship, staring at the blue planet below. Earth. Small. Quiet. Harmless. Or so he thought. He had been sent by the Zarkon Empire, a race of powerful warriors who had conquered 5 galaxies. Rathul was known for his sharp mind and cold heart. He was not here to talk peace. He was here to observe, to judge, and to prepare for what might come next. Invasion. Rathul's ship slipped through Earth's skies like a ghost, invisible. To human eyes, it landed in a forest outside a city called Washington, D.C. According to his research, this was where Earth's leaders gathered, but Rathul didn't want to meet leaders. Not yet. First, he wanted to study humans up close. He activated his cloaking device and stepped out. His true form, tall with green skin and 4 glowing eyes, was now hidden behind a perfect human disguise. A tall man in a gray coat with black eyes and quiet steps. His translator hummed softly in his ear, ready to convert every human word. Rathul walked into the city and was shocked. No guards, no war machines. People laughed, played music, drank hot drinks in the open air. Children ran through parks. No fear, no discipline. It felt like a planet that had never known war. Fools, Rathul thought. They don't even protect their cities. One Zarkon ship could destroy this whole place. Still, something felt strange. Later that day, he visited a museum. It was called the National Museum of American History. He entered easily. No one checked him. No scanners. Inside, he found weapons behind glass, old rifles, tanks, and even nuclear bombs. One human child pointed and said, "That one could blow up a whole city." Rathul smiled inside. Primitive toys, he thought. But as he walked further, he found a door with a red sign, restricted access, classified materials. A guard stood nearby. Rathul tapped a small device on his wrist, sending a sleep signal. The guard collapsed. He slipped inside. The room was cold and dark. No lights, only glowing screens. One screen came to life as he approached. It showed a countdown. 2, 1. The video began. Old footage. Human scientists in lab coats stood beside a strange metal object. A voice spoke. "This is Project Black Sun. It will never be used. It must never be used." The next moment, the screen turned white. A satellite. Image showed a wide desert, then nothing. The land vanished. Mountains turned to dust. The desert became glass. No fire. No sound. Just nothingness. Rathul's breath stopped. He looked at the file's title. Weapon deactivated. Reason, too powerful. Too powerful? Even for war, he thought. He opened another file. Project Night Rain. Project Void Dragon. Project Silent End. Each file showed a different kind of weapon. Not missiles, not lasers. These were concepts. Some used sound waves to kill silently. Others used tiny machines to erase memory, even language. Some just made entire planets go dark. No heat, no light, no life. The last video showed a message written by a human general. "We don't use these weapons. Not because we can't, but because if we start a war, we won't leave anyone behind to tell the story." Rathul backed away. His heart, if he had one, would be pounding. Suddenly a light flickered. "Can I help you?" a calm voice asked behind him. Rathul turned. A tall man in a black uniform stood at the door. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "I am General Harper," the man said. "And you're not from around here, are you?" Rathul didn't move. His cloak started to flicker. "You've seen it now," Harper continued. "We don't hide our history. We don't lie about our strength, but we don't show it off either." Rathul tried to speak. "You avoid war?" Harper nodded. "Because it would be too easy to win." Rathul didn't reply. He simply nodded, slowly, eyes wide. He had come to study a weak world, but what he found was a sleeping monster. The forbidden room, the elevator doors closed behind Commander. Earthul with a soft metallic hiss. He stood inside the small metal box, surrounded by silence and a glowing keypad. His Zarkon scanner blinked red. This part of the Earth base was not listed in any public network, not even in their hidden satellites. This was off the grid. Just moments ago, General Harper had looked Rathul in the eyes and said, "Follow me, if you want to understand humans, really understand us. Then I'll show you something we don't even show our own." Now the elevator was going down, way down. Rathul watched the numbers. 10, 20, 50, 150. "How deep are we going?" he asked. Harper smiled faintly. "Until you start to shake." The elevator stopped with a soft thump. The doors slid open. The hallway ahead was made of dark metal, walls lined with glowing panels. Silent machines floated by, scanning them, but never stopping. The air was cold and heavy, like it remembered things, bad things. They reached a door that read, "Restricted, level Omega beneath it. Clearance, humanity, alone." Protocol Earthul paused. "What is this place?" Harper replied quietly. "The room where we keep the knowledge of weapons we promised ourselves never to use again." He placed his hand on the panel. A warm light scanned it, then the door creaked open slowly. Inside, there was no noise, only a giant round chamber filled with screens, crystal orbs, and floating data shards. It didn't look like human tech anymore. It looked alien, and that scared Rathul. In the center, a single pedestal glowed. Harper walked toward it, picked up a small black cube, and turned it on. The room changed instantly. Now, Rathul was standing on a battlefield. Not real, but so real, he could feel the heat, the ash, the trembling under his feet. It was Earth, but shattered. Sky blackened, oceans evaporated, cities turned to bones and glass. No laser beams, no flashy missiles. This was something else. Quiet voice echoed from the cube. "Project Eye of God, status abandoned, reason, humanity feared itself." Rathul looked around. This is your future war?" Harper shook his head. "No, this was a test. 200 years ago." Suddenly, a second battlefield appeared. Alien ships, huge ones, rained fire down from the sky. Human forces were on the ground, tiny in number, almost outnumbered 50 to 1. Yet one click later, the entire alien fleet disappeared. Not destroyed. Just gone. Project unreal. Status dimensional collapse achieved. Enemy forces erased from existence. Rathul turned to Harper, stunned. "This is not defense. This is creation and destruction. Like gods." Harper didn't smile. "And that's why we sealed this room." Rathul was trembling. Now. He had faced monsters on burning worlds. He had watched planets scream as they fell under Zarkon fire. But this was silent death. No screaming, just endings. He asked quietly, "Why keep this knowledge at all?" Harper looked him dead in the eyes. "Because someone must remember what happens if we forget what we're capable of." The next file was different. It was not a weapon. It was a warning. A human general, old with tired eyes, spoke directly into the camera. "If anyone finds this, know that we were not proud of this. Know that we chose to walk away. Not because we lost, but because we won too fast. And it made us forget who we were." The screen went black. Rathul stepped back. His knees weakened. His heart, multiple-chambered and strong, was now heavy with fear. Humans were not weak. They were holding back. The Zarkon Empire had judged Earth as low threat, an easy conquest. But Earth didn't fight because it was afraid. Earth didn't need to fight, it simply chose peace. Rathul turned to General Harper. "You showed me all this, why?" Harper walked to the door, hands behind his back. Because your empire will send more after you, and I want you to tell them one thing. He looked over his shoulder. Tell them we have the tools to erase war itself, but we hope we never use them again. The door shut behind them with a heavy sound. In the silence that followed, only one thought screamed inside Rathul's mind. The humans were not sleeping giants. They were wide awake, just merciful. Meeting the human General Commander, Rathul didn't sleep. He couldn't. After returning to his ship, his thoughts were spinning like broken engines. The Earth's surface looked calm, blue oceans, green forests, soft white clouds. But he had now seen what lay beneath the surface. Earth was not soft. Earth was a volcano wearing a flower crown. And the humans? They smiled too easily, as if they knew something the rest of the galaxy didn't. He had to meet the one in charge again, the human general, Harper. By the next morning, Rathul stood inside a silent human base hidden deep beneath a mountain. Massive steel walls surrounded him, no windows, no noise, just the slow hum of ancient machines still pulsing with power. He was led by 2 human guards, silent and cold-eyed, to a long hallway with a thick door at the end. A voice came through. The speaker, "Send him in alone." The guards looked at each other, surprised, but followed the order. Rathul stepped through. The room inside looked nothing like a war chamber. It looked like a library. Books lined the walls. A small plant sat on a desk. In the middle of the room, facing away from the door, sat General Harper. He was wearing a black coat, holding a white mug of coffee and listening to soft piano music. He did not turn. "Sit," he said quietly. Rathul obeyed, confused. Harper finally looked up, his eyes calm but unreadable. "What did you think of our vault?" Rathul cleared his throat. Your people have weapons beyond logic. Why not use them? Why pretend to be weak?" Harper raised an eyebrow. "Would you trust a race that does show off power?" Rathul didn't answer. Harper stood up and walked to a shelf. He picked out an old photo. "This is my great-grandfather. He helped create Project Black Sun. He left the project when he saw what it could do. Said the Earth shouldn't hold that kind of power." He placed the photo down. "That's why we keep those weapons buried," he said. "Because war changes who we are. We don't want to become monsters just because we can." Rathul blinked. "But your history is full of war. You are known across stars as violent, chaotic." Harper chuckled. "Yes, we earned that name. But do you know what changed us?" He pointed at the plant. "A single war made us plant more trees than we dropped bombs. One war too many made us build shelters before ships. We learned, slowly." Then his tone shifted. "But don't confuse mercy with weakness." He pressed a button on his desk. The lights in the room dimmed. A small hologram appeared in the air. It showed a star map, dozens of red dots blinking. "These," Harper said, "are hidden defense platforms spread across your empire. We placed them there 50 years ago." Rathul stood up in shock. "Impossible. Your kind didn't even have faster-than-light drives back then." Harper looked directly at him now. His voice sharpened. "We did. We just didn't tell anyone." Rathul sat down slowly. His hands trembled. Humans were already inside Zarkon space, watching, waiting, and still, they did nothing. Harper shut off the map and took a slow sip of coffee. "We let other empires believe we're behind, less advanced, disorganized. It gives us time. It keeps the peace." He leaned forward. "But if your kind ever touches Earth with war even once, we won't just fight back. We'll erase the very memory of your species from the stars." Rathul whispered. "That's not war. That's extinction." Harper smiled thinly. "We call it peace insurance." A heavy silence followed. Then Harper's tone softened again. "But that's why we brought you here, Rathul. We want you to go back. Tell your leaders what you saw. Warn them. Not because we fear them, but because we hope they still have a choice." He slid a small black cube across the table. This contains everything your people need to believe you, coordinates, images, live proof. Rathul stared at it. No threats, no orders, just a quiet warning. He slowly took the cube. I will deliver your message, he said quietly. But I fear they will not listen. Harper stood up and opened the door. Then may history record that you tried. As Rathul walked out, his mind was heavier than ever. He came to Earth to find weakness, but he found power, quiet, buried, and more terrifying than any empire had ever imagined. The test fire. The desert was silent, not the kind of silence that comes from still air. This was heavy silence, like the land was holding its breath, waiting for something terrible to happen again. Commander Rathul stood beside General Harper, both wearing black shades to protect their eyes from what was coming. They were in a place humans called Black Mesa, a forbidden zone. No map showed it. No satellites were allowed to look down on it. Rathul's own ship couldn't even scan the ground properly. Everything was scrambled. What is this place? Rathul asked. Harper didn't look at him. This is where we come to remember what we're capable of. The ground around them was scorched and dry, cracked like shattered glass. Yet no cities had ever existed here. No war had ever been reported. But something had happened. Something too big to speak of. A high-pitched tone came from Harper's communicator. We're ready, sir. Awaiting your order. Harper spoke softly. Begin the demonstration. Rathul turned to the horizon. Far away, a lone mountain stood tall. The general handed Rathul a small device. Watch closely. Suddenly, a silver beam of light shot down from the sky. Not loud, not flashy, just a thin thread of energy. Quiet and calm. Then, the mountain disappeared, not exploded, not shattered, vanished. 1 second it was there. The next, it was gone, like someone had cut it out of reality. No smoke, no fire. Just a circle of nothing where stone once stood. Rathul's mouth opened, but no words came out. He felt his knees weaken, his four-fingered hands clenched. His race had plasma bombs, orbital strikes, quantum weapons. But this was surgical. Extinction. What? What kind of weapon was that, he asked, voice shaking. Harper remained still. That was a deactivated satellite. We brought it back online just for you. Rathul turned sharply. Just one? Harper nodded. We have 127 more. All hidden. All sleeping. He looked at Rathul and said coldly, We don't want to use them. That's why we made sure no one knew they existed. The alien commander tried to make sense of it. Why hide such power? You could rule this galaxy. Harper's eyes darkened. Because we almost did. Once. A long time ago. He picked up a handful of sand and let it fall between his fingers. We destroyed 2 of our own continents in a war so deadly we erased the history, buried it so deep even we were afraid to remember. He stared out at the empty space where the mountain once stood. That's why we built the satellites, not to fight others, but to stop ourselves. Rathul looked down. You fear your own kind. Harper nodded slowly. Every species should. That's the only way to stay peaceful. Just then, a small drone flew over them. It projected holograms of other weapons, ones Rathul had never seen. One created silent storms of nanites that melted tanks and turned soldiers to ash. Another folded space around enemy fleets, making them disappear into black voids with no return. Another sent shockwaves through time itself, aging a city by 10,000 years and seconds. Rathul couldn't take it anymore. He dropped to his knees. This is not defense. This is madness. Harper placed a hand on his shoulder. No, this is the reason you're still alive. Because we chose not to use it. The sky above them turned red as the sun set behind the clouds. The light hit the empty spot where the mountain used to be. It cast no shadow. There was nothing left to hold one. Rathul finally spoke. I thought you humans were reckless, dangerous, always fighting. Harper turned away. We were. He paused. But now we only fight if we have no choice. And when we do, we fight to end it. Rithul stood up slowly. My people will not believe this. They will laugh. Harper gave him a long look. Then, tell them to come. But tell them this. When humans fight, we don't fight to win. We fight to finish. A chill ran through Rithul's bones. He had come searching for weakness. Instead, he had seen the sleeping wrath of a species that chose not to destroy, and that was more terrifying than any weapon. Panic in the Zarkon Council. The council chamber of the Zarkon Empire had never been silent. It was a massive hall of glowing red pillars, echoing voices, and the constant hum of power from the stars they had conquered. But today, there was no humming. Only stillness, only fear. Commander Arthul stood in the center, holding the black data cube given to him by the human general. His skin was pale under his armor. His voice, once proud and commanding, now trembled like a child's. The humans, they are not what we believed. The High Empress narrowed her glowing golden eyes. You mean to say you were fooled by their museums and fireworks? No, Rithul replied quickly. What I saw was real. What I felt was worse. He pressed a button on the cube. The lights in the chamber dimmed. A hologram appeared, a perfect recording of the moment the Earth's mountain vanished, under the light of the satellite beam. Gasps rang through the chamber. Several war generals leaned forward, expressions frozen. One of them whispered, "No energy signature, no heat? What kind of weapon is this?" "Something beyond even our darkest science," Rithul said, "and they have more, hundreds." The Minister of Strategy, a cold-eyed female with cybernetic implants, scoffed. "They are bluffing, they want us to fear them." But then the cube changed. It displayed secret maps, locations of Zarkon bases that even the Council thought were hidden. And then, a star map of Zarkon space showing red dots. Rithul stepped back. "They have already placed weapons in our territory, cloaked, undetectable." The entire chamber stirred. The oldest counselor, Lord Varn, slammed his cane on the floor. "Impossible. No species has that kind of reach." "They do," Rithul said, "because they never bragged about it. They moved in silence. And they could have ended us before I ever left for Earth." Empress Yigel stood now, her voice echoing across the dome. "You mean to say, the humans have already won the war? We never started?" Rithul bowed his head. "Yes, and they chose not to fight." The chamber fell into chaos. Some screamed, some whispered plans to prepare the fleet. Others demanded immediate surrender. But then a second cube was activated. It was a message. General Harper's face appeared. He wasn't smiling. "To the Zarkon Empire, we do not seek war. We do not want blood. But we will not be threatened. We will not be studied, and we will never be conquered. We've seen what war does. We've been our own worst enemy. That's why we now live in peace. But make no mistake, if your ships ever approach Earth with fire in your hearts, you won't return, and no one will remember you ever existed." Then the screen went black. The room was still again. For the first time in Zarkon history, the Council felt something they had never allowed themselves to feel: helplessness. Lord Varn's voice cracked. "We cannot fight them. We must rewrite our entire strategy." Minister Zora nodded slowly. Their silence was their greatest weapon. Empress sat down, eyes distant. "I once called humans animals," she said softly. "Now I see. They are something worse. They are survivors. They are fire hidden under calm water." A low-ranking commander whispered from the side, "Then what do we do?" Rithul looked up. "We send them peace," he said. "Real peace, not the kind with hidden threats, not treaties written in lies." He paused. "Because if we don't, we might not live long enough to regret it." Meanwhile, light years away, in a silent human station orbiting a distant star, a young soldier watched a blinking dot disappear from their surveillance screen. She turned to her officer. Zarkon Command. Signals are down. They've stopped scanning our borders. The officer nodded, smiled faintly. They got the message. And in the shadows of Earth's cold vaults, deep underground, a quiet voice echoed in a sealed chamber. They still don't understand. We didn't survive war. We became what survives war. The human Shadow Fleet Zarkon dignitaries arrived near Jupiter expecting to see a peaceful human space station. What they found instead was a graveyard of gods. 3 alien cruisers slowly approached the assigned coordinates. The ships were sleek, powerful, and heavily armed, just in case. Inside, high-ranked diplomats sat in silence, their eyes filled with doubt, fear, and pride, all mixed together. Commander Rathul stood among them, arms crossed. He had warned them. They didn't believe. Now they would see. The human station was small. Too small. Floating quietly in Jupiter's shadow, it looked old, scarred by micrometeor impacts and aging panels. No defenses were visible, no patrol ships, no welcome message. A Zarkon dignitary scoffed. This is the human Shadow Fleet? Suddenly, a signal pinged their ship. Dock, alone. 1 representative only. No weapons, no escorts, just 1. They chose Rathul. As his shuttle approached, the station opened like a blooming flower, panels rotating, revealing a long tunnel of light. It swallowed his ship in silence. He landed inside and stepped out. A single human waited at the end of a glass hallway. A woman with silver hair, wearing a black military coat, stood with hands behind her back. She didn't speak. She simply turned and walked. Rathul followed. They entered a circular room filled with stars, projected in 3D from the ceiling. The human woman finally spoke. "I am Admiral Lane. This is Shadow Fleet Command." Rathul studied her. Calm. Empty eyes. Like someone who had seen too much. "We came to see your fleet," he said. She raised one eyebrow. "Did you bring your courage?" With a wave of her hand, the starfield shifted. Jupiter disappeared. Now they were in orbit above it. But not in this time. A massive image appeared. Dark shapes circling the gas giant, blending with its storms. Hundreds of ships. No light. No engines. They looked like shadows moving through clouds. Rathul's blood chilled. "What are those?" Lane didn't blink. "Fleet ghosts. Silent AIs. No crew. No hunger, no sleep. Each carries enough power to glass a moon." She looked at him. "They have never moved, because they never had to." Rathul stepped closer. "But how did one know the galaxy watches everything?" Lane turned back to the stars. "Because everyone was looking at Earth, not here, not below Jupiter, and because we let them think we were weak." The room dimmed. Now the projection showed a battle simulation. 10 enemy fleets approached Jupiter. The human ghost fleet activated. They didn't fire lasers. They folded reality. Ships vanished. Some screamed before disappearing. Some just flickered. Out like a light. Others were turned backward. Rewound in time. Until they were dust. Rathul felt his knees go weak. "You turned war into a concept." Lane finally stepped closer. "We turned war into history." She tapped a final button. A screen lit up. It showed a list. Rathul read it. Zarkon flagship. Coordinates logged Zarkon Council Hall. Satellite watching Zarkon shipyards. 1 word. Blink, he looked up. "You've already marked us." Lane nodded. "And we haven't pulled the trigger because," she answered, "because General Harper believes in peace. Because we know what it means to lose everything. And because we believe someone among you still listens." She stared into Rathul's eyes. "But if you come again? If you test us?" She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. The silence spoke louder than war. Back on the Zarkon ship, the delegates waited. Rathul returned, face pale, eyes distant. "What? Did you see?" one of them asked. He sat down slowly. "I saw the end of us. he whispered. And they keep it hidden, under clouds. One diplomat shouted, "Then we prepare for war." "No," Rithul snapped. "We prepare for humility." Another asked, "So we fear them?" "No," he said, "we respect them, or we die." And far beneath Jupiter's stormy skin, the ghost fleet slept, hundreds of deadly machines floating silently in the endless swirl, waiting, watching, not forgotten, not gone, just waiting for a reason to wake up. We avoid war, because we would win. The great Galactic summit had never felt so cold. Inside the Dome of Unity, thousands of beings from over 60 star empires filled the floating platforms. Each delegate hovered in their section, separated by gravity walls and language fields, their voices quiet, their movements stiff. But everyone waited for the same thing. The humans had arrived. Until recently, Earth had never been given a seat in the inner ring. Too young, too unpredictable, too wild. But after the Zarkon Empire's silent withdrawal, after rumors of disappearing fleets, vanished moons, and satellite ghosts near Jupiter, everything changed. Now Earth had been granted the center platform, one seat, one voice, one chance to speak. The lights dimmed. A ripple of attention passed through the chamber as a single human woman walked into the center. No guards, no weapons, no translators. Her presence was quiet, but heavy. Her name was Ambassador Ilara Nix. She wore a simple black robe. Her hair tied back, her eyes sharp like twin stars but not angry. Just aware. She stood still. Let silence stretch. Let the weight of fear gather in the room like dust before a storm. Then she spoke. Her voice echoed, smooth and calm. "We understand why you fear us." Her eyes scanned the room. The Zarkon Empress turned away. "You fear us because we smile too much. We joke too often. We arrive late and don't always follow your rules." A few uneasy laughs. No one smiled. But deep down, Ilara said softly, "You fear us because we don't need to fight. We choose not to." The chamber grew darker. Behind her, a silent hologram appeared. Dozens of destroyed planets, erased ships, broken fleets, all without noise, without fire. Just gone. Ilara didn't raise her voice. "When war reached our doorstep, we built monsters. Machines that could erase armies with no sound. Satellites that don't sleep. Weapons that don't burn, but erase." She looked directly at the Zarkon throne. "You sent one of your best, Commander Rathul. He saw. He understood. He returned to warn you." She let that sentence hang like a blade. Rathul, sitting silently in the Zarkon section, bowed his head. "Then," she continued, "we could have erased you. We didn't. We could have shown the galaxy what Earth truly holds. We didn't. Not because we are weak. Not because we are slow." She paused. "But because we know what happens when war becomes easy. When killing becomes a button. When the cost is forgotten." She raised one hand and the hologram shifted. Now it showed Earth, not the weapons, not the fleets, just children playing. Cities growing, forests blooming, scientists laughing, people hugging each other. "Our greatest strength isn't our fire," she said. "It's our mercy." And then her tone changed, still calm, but final. "If you force our hand, if you touch our home, then you will meet the version of humanity we buried long ago." A final image appeared, the inscription, "We avoid war because we would win." The lights returned. The chamber was silent. No applause, no cheers, just silence. Even the Zarkon Empress did not rise. Her pride was gone. Ilara Nix turned and walked. Away, no guards, no weapons. She didn't need them. Later that night, a message was sent from the Zarkon Empire to Earth. Subject, peace offer. Content, we understand now. We ask for guidance, not war. Earth replied, we accept. Teach us, piece together, And in a quiet vault beneath Earth where ancient machines still hummed in silence, one line was added to a file named Planetary Threats. Zarkon, status, deactivated reason. They finally listened. Humanity did not become the most feared species because it loved war. It became feared because it chose to stop before anyone else even knew it was possible.